well, we'll just start a little introduction. All right, so this week we are in week 3. We're just getting into week 3, which is that easing back into life or not. Like, this happens to me every single time. I get to week 3 and I'm really on a roll and I'm not ready to leave yet. Like, I'm not ready to kind of switch modes and all of a sudden get back in. So I always wind up adding a few extra days on there. Some people, it's a dramatic change for them, and they are very ready to now start introducing more proteins and more things that were just really lacking in their body. Any way you do it is fine, as long as you took advantage of week 2 and really tried to ease in. So when you're doing a K, week 2 is very, you're going to set yourself up in week 1, really do well week 2, and then week 3, you start to slowly, and I can't emphasize like I did on the email, slowly, because you don't want to disrupt your digestive system so fast, so much, going from really, really clean and pretty light to all of a sudden, oh, it's the first night I'm having a cheeseburger or a steak or something really heavy, because you will probably have a pretty upset stomach. So you don't want to go right back into cheese and meat and all of this that we were, had really taken out slowly in week 1 and then omitted in week 2. The same thing with caffeine. If you wanted to give up your caffeine and your chocolate and all of those, even I drank a lot of matcha, so I didn't have that. You don't want to go back into, say you drank 2 or 3 cups. You don't want to do, you want to kind of ease your way back in, because your digestive system will really go into a tizzy. So that is now, one.
Can you keep going for
Absolutely.
another week or 2? Because
I have many times.
Years ago, I went on a 28-day, so it was 4 weeks, and I found in week 4, I wasn't ready to go back to eating like that at all.
No. And I found, after doing it year after year after year, and I do this major cleanse twice a year, and then I do the fast mimicking diet the other 2 seasons. And I find that I go back less and less and less to some of the foods that I used to eat. I just completely omit. And over the years, I don't even want them, crave them, or even need them anymore. So that's I guess it's just preference. And a lot of people I find, which to anyone who gets to watch the recording, if this is you and you didn't do as you were so, but I'm going to do this, I'm going to conquer that, I'm not going to eat this, and I'm going to exercise more, or I'm going to meditate more, whatever it was for you, and you didn't really hit that goal, like, don't take it out on yourself. Don't be upset with it, because what you did for that week happened to be what you were capable of doing. And now maybe the next cycle you go in and you kind of realize, and you go back into your notes. If you took notes, you keep a journal, you'll say, well, you know what? This is why I allowed my friends to make me go out on the Wednesday night, or I just decided it was a little rainy, and instead of going on my little walk in nature or something, I stayed home. Next time you'll say, you know what? I should have done that. But never beat yourself up now for it, because then you go back to square one. So I find if you really just be at peace with yourself, which is in, you probably know this, svashta, which is seated in yourself. Like, just honor yourself and be where you are right now, whatever that is, and be okay and be happy with it. Just be established where you are. And then next time, or it's not the end of the world if you decide once a month, doing the cleanse part 3 days a month. Like, every bit, whatever you come up with works. Just taking, I can't emphasize enough how we got into week 1 into week 2, when you start really, really taking out all of those processed foods, all of those refined oils, the really sugars in general, especially the sugar substitutes. These chemicals are super damaging to the body. Aside from so many things made with, residue of glyphosate on them everywhere. So the more we can cleanse our diet just in food, so you don't have to be perfect on it, but if you can allow the food intake to be real food, you've already hit 75% of the marker right there. The other things are just there to benefit you, like your mind and your body connection and that soul presence. If you're go, 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 and you're overstressed and overworked and scheduled, and you just needed to learn how to sit, literally, I said in the beginning, it was really hard the year that I decided meditation or something was going to be my big thing. And I couldn't do it. It took days to learn to sit down and really sit there. So if that was you, add 1 more minute on, only a minute, do this. And in this week, concentrate on all the things. So we're going to take out a journal, and you'll have it through the weeks. And we're going to kind of have that like cause and effect in our actions, like what we did, what were the cause and effect actions. So maybe you've been doing a little bit differently. Most people are. Say you've been used to eating 2,500 calories a day, a week would that be? And now you just decided, as you eased your way in, you hit a few days that were 800 to 1,500 or something. See, and you were sipping your hot water and all that. See how that felt. Did you feel accomplished? Did you feel light? Was your energy higher? Did you start to feel difference in the body? And then think about whatever your exercise regimen was in the beginning. So you're going to write down, what were the symptoms I had in this beginning before I even started in my exercise? Were my knees stiff? Did I wake up kind of like creaking, or was I very mentally against waking up and exercising or breathing? Like was my initial state going into this with my exercise? Or maybe some of the symptoms, not even with exercise, maybe you were like lashing out at family members, like things like that. Kind of notice what your mood and your mind and your body connection were prior to the cleanse. And from that past, now thinking forward, out of those symptoms and things you were doing, like how many of those now are kind of not optional? They're non-negotiable. You're just not going to do that because now you know how to like course correct. Now that we're getting into week 3, think about how you felt coming in and the things you wanted to address, and how many of them right now are you going to put on your it's not an option list anymore. So the cleanse isn't just to lose body toxins, it's the mind toxins, it's your heart center, toxins. It's all this that goes into that cleanse, like whatever it was for you, but for everyone, it still should be a little multidimensional. And then as you start to come out, what symptoms was your body trying to communicate for you? Because as we detox toxins out of our body, it will start to tell us things. It'll start to, like, I was loving a piece of dark chocolate. All my friends are always like, oh my gosh, I got this new dark chocolate, or I made this kind, or I did this. And it was like, yeah, sure, it's really good for me. So I'm going to eat some every day and I'm going to do this. And then after a while, I'm like, and I was having, during some weeks, I hadn't had any coffee in 2.5 years or so. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to have a bulletproof coffee before the cleanse to extend my fast or something like this. And now going in, I'm like, it happened again. I don't even miss it. Like I'm not even, so what happened for you? Was it that you really got on schedule with waking up and doing some breath work, your exercise movement? Like, did that become more of a priority in the morning? Understanding as we breathe and as we exhale and move the circulation, we've been sleeping for hopefully 8 hours. The circulation, everything in the body goes down into rest mode. But now when it's the circadian rhythm time, the birds are awake, the whole universe is waking up in our world, our part of the world. We want to match that. We want our circadian rhythm to also say, oh, it's morning, it's daylight, everything that's been quiet in our system. Now it's time to wake it up. Now it's time to move that. And if you took advantage of that, did you really feel the difference? Did you really feel like, yeah, when I get up and I'm sluggish and I go right to my telephone and I grab my cup of coffee and I get ready for work, your whole mindset is different that day when you wake up and you start to breathe. Even if you do jumping jacks, anything, breath work and move the body should set you up physically, emotionally, spiritually, but especially your circadian rhythm starts to get on that channel of what it's supposed to be doing in that cycle of the 24 hours. So your hormones all start to like really reset. And that's optimum. That's what we want. We want our hormones to be in, which they all are. every system, our endocrine system also works on the circadian rhythm circle of the 24 hours. We have the ability to have lights on, cell phones, food at wrong hours, sleep at different hours. Our circadian rhythm is so upside down and backwards. We're all experiencing extreme hormonal imbalances. Our cortisol, instead of only coming up in the morning, nice and high, you want that cortisol like waking up in the morning. That's why you really don't need your caffeine in the morning. If you set your circadian rhythm to be activated, coffee could be 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. Like
That's my
after that,
favorite time.
yes, that's like the perfect time for that to really be a coffee time. Maybe that's when way back in work, you got a coffee break.
Right.
Because maybe you didn't need it before that. And people maybe knew that. I don't know. Probably has nothing to do with it, but I was probably the second round of coffee. But so then you want to start to get that, this week too, be aware of like keeping that earlier, maybe bedtime, like maybe setting things up. So as your body starts to get in rhythm, it will also balance your hormones at the same time. So every system in the body, as we get into circadian rhythm balance, which I'm hoping going through the cleanse, you'll start to realize that the body has a time clock, food has a time clock, animals have a time clock. Every cell in your body has a time clock, and it's based on circadian rhythms. And when they're all upside down and backwards or not even there because of crazy schedules and flying and people traveling within, the work week of craziness, it is totally disruptive, even into a cellular level. So week 3, we're going to kind of take all the good that we did in week 2 and start to maybe carry some of that forward, hopefully, and understand what benefit we really got from it. So take a minute and maybe write these things down in your journal if you were keeping one, or even on a mental note. Or my mental note wouldn't last that long because it would go to another thing. So even a piece of paper that you're going to stick somewhere. I just for this cleanse, I kind of say, don't do it digitally, because when your mind connects to your hand and the pen, the connection is much stronger and it lasts longer. So what is in sync for you right now? What worked? What worked in week 2? Kind of carry that through to work 3. What is your body like? What came out in week 2? Like what came in sync? What felt out of rhythm? Like what did you experience? What happened? And really feel it and take a minute to understand what happened. And then dietarily, again, exercise wise, whatever it is, ease back into whatever your level. But I guarantee if you're feeling better, if you really feel like you feel lighter, your head is better, your relationships got a little bit stronger because you weren't snapping at everyone, or your work productivity. My work productivity always skyrockets because I don't have food and all the other clutter in the way. And I'm really taking that break for myself. And all of a sudden I'm like, wow, I can handle so much more. Things are getting done like so quickly, so efficiently, that I really, really feel the difference. And each time you do the cleanse, you'll notice it kind of more and more. So I get to see Kay twice. Okay. We'll just leave that other one up there. Now seeing the last few weeks, like, well, maybe I was drinking a little bit too much, too many days. Maybe I was carrying that caffeine load through. Maybe there was things I was not really paying attention to, like toxic relationships. Maybe I'm really, really now understanding how bad or what level that was too. And I'm going to dial that out. I'm going to keep that out going forward. So all these things, all these ideas that come up, put them down in a journal, piece of paper, put them down somewhere. And then, of course, try to stick to that earlier dinner, or maybe you're skipping a meal. Maybe you're skipping breakfast, or just the opposite. You're having breakfast and a later lunch or something, but you're skipping dinner. So whatever that, if you could keep that real main heavy meal, whatever it is for you, whatever, not heavy because we're staying light, between 10 and 2. That's when the digestion is the strongest. Circadian rhythm has us set up perfectly for that because the sun is the strongest at that time. It aids digestion. That's when our Agni, our digestive fire, is the strongest. It's between that 10 and 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So notice if you keep in that, how your body reacts to that and what's going on within that. And keep your earlier dinners if you can, that early to bed, and then doing that morning exercise. I'm going to reach over here and grab my water because I can't, it's too far away. Sipping hot water all day long. Just keep sipping. All the toxins you're bringing in back into circulation. So what we're doing in week 2 was taking the toxins out of fat circulation, like out of fat storage, and we're getting them back into circulation, especially by spacing our meals. So the body can get out of glucose for its use of energy and get into fat pulling. So once we get the fat the way we want it, we don't want, so fat is really good in circulation. It feeds the brain, it feeds the heart, it feeds your muscles, and when we take glucose out, which normally is there to feed our muscles, the body needs more of it. So we want fat in circulation. We don't want it stored, because when it's stored, it's really hard to get out. It's like a one-way street. If we keep eating and we keep our like our insulin resistant too high, the body's just going to keep storing fat, and it's almost like a one-way street. It doesn't know how to come back out again. So you have to do some kind of a detox cleanse, fasting for a little bit extra hours, so the body goes looking for it. So the body can go find it to bring it into circulation to metabolize it for good fuel. So doing a cleanse slowly keeps trying to find that fat. And it's going to keep taking that fat and doing what we want, puts it into circulation, and then uses it or eliminates it. So try to sweat in week 2. We were doing extra sweating, dry brushing, lymphatic brush, like anything you can get to get circulation moving is going to remove those excess toxins and fat, all that ama. In Ayurveda, any toxins in the body is called ama. So the hydration of the water, so your blood needs water, your plasma needs water, it needs hydration. So as you hydrate, things flow faster and better and stronger. So as we're getting that fat and we're pulling it out, we're getting it out of the system. So if you can sweat, sip hot water, take a sauna, your hot tub, maybe you got to do all 3 last week, lucky for you. And then cold plunging, like anything that forces the body to go into that like stress mode. And then the body, when it recovers, it gets stronger. So every system gets better, bigger, stronger. Maybe you tried enema or the saltwater flush, or maybe you tried any of the colonics or something like that. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Was it harsh? Was it easy? Did it feel nice and light? I know a couple of people were going to try the spicy lemonade, and I think a lot of people like that. I actually, last week's call, everyone had been kind of curious of the spicy lemonade. And as we were talking about it, the citrus smell, I actually could smell it, and I wanted to have it the next day. So I did mine a little differently, but a little grapefruit, different things. But the citrus actually helps too. That acid in your stomach helps to like move things through and break things down. And it gives you that energy with the maple syrup for the day, but you're not really hungry because you're drinking a lot of fluid. So keep drinking your fluids and carry that through this week. Don't just go right back heavy into diet. Keep hydrating, keep your stomach full, maybe you want to keep making, a green juice in the morning, something like that. So write down what really worked for you in week 2, what you really liked, what was kind of emphasized in week 2 for you, and keep more of that in week 3. Like I really enjoyed, over the winter, I really didn't make any juices. I was eating more winter foods. So this season, everything is like sprouting around here out in the yards, dandelions and chickweed. And I actually have lamb's quarter that are this big, and greens are coming up. So you go out and you harvest different things. I had thistle, and that's what the spring is about. It gives it to you to say, this is all here for free. Use it because it's the best detoxification items you can find, and they're free. So you use these in your smoothies and add in some others. And then again, I did a little bit of the reverse juicing where I did my juicing. I have a wonderful juicer. And then I took some of the pulp, especially the things I really like, which is the fiber. You need fiber in your diet to stay alive, to feed, which we're going to get into at the second half of this call, the microbiome, but it also, your colon has to have fiber to create like its actual functions to work. And the fiber is it's undigested food that makes it through to the colon, which feeds the gut microbiome all the way through, and the colon, which is the mass of our microbiome. So I would take some of the fiber and put it back in my juice, and then add some, other things to it, sometimes some probiotic to it, like a little bit of goat yogurt or something, and make this amazing drink. Or I would have half. I would sip some of just the juice, and then I would make a little bit of a smoothie. But all that energy, sometimes I would even add some chlorophyll, the energy that you get from that. And then if you have that, say you just were having that meal and then something lighter or later, that lightness becomes contagious. I mean, it becomes like something that you want to tell someone else about, or it becomes the point where it's almost addictive. Like you love feeling that light and that ambitious that you want to keep doing it. So that's kind of where I am right now, that the spring is still here and this stuff is all still being offered. So I'm still picking dandelions. I'm still picking things out of the yard and washing things off and into the blender or into a salad or a stir fry. It's so easy. It doesn't have to just be juiced. I mean, eating it, you'll get the fiber. So the body can break down all of those nutrients and then use the undigestible fiber, send it through and say, thank you. The bugs are saying, thank you, feeding me now. So we're going to get into, I'll stop that part. We'll get into the microbiome. So it's just Kay and I on this evening. So obviously there are no questions aside from I'm going to ask Kay what she has. And any questions or any direction, Kay, because you're going to just be going into it after. So what questions, let's see what you have or anything that you want to go over.
Okay, years ago, I did a 4-week detox, and I found that at about 2.5, 3 weeks in, I started craving almonds and eggs. Now, if I crave something like that, should I just have like 6 almonds or a
Almonds are
hard-boiled
great.
egg?
Almonds are wonderful in the cleanse. In week 2, week 1, absolutely. Like, because those are such great food items. In week 1, as you're getting rid of all the processed foods, the sugars, easing weight, to starting to ease out caffeine and dairy and animal products, that's week 1. So yes, and if your body is craving it, sometimes the body is craving things that we have too much of because it has come accustomed to eating that and wanting that, or it's deficient in it. So that's what it wants. You kind of have to see which one you might be,
I was eating just no protein. I was just having like brown rice, quinoa, vegetables, juices. And I don't know, I think that I was probably craving protein.
Yes.
So I heard you say you put a little goat's milk yogurt in, like a tablespoon or 2.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no,
Like
you know what? Thank you for correcting me. I didn't put the goat's yogurt. I did coconut yogurt.
Okay, coconut
And
yogurt.
a really good, there's a local brand here that I get at Whole Foods. It's a little more expensive, but it is packed with probiotic, and it's coconut and it's fat, and it's really good.
And what's the name of that one?
Coco Juno.
Okay.
Just one word, Coco Juno. And it's delicious. And I get the plain one. It also has a few other flavors, but they have other things in them.
I love plain yogurt.
So that, and also soaked almonds, you want to especially by week 2, you want to take the shells off.
Okay.
So I think you'd have to probably order. I don't know if anyone has around here, the Marcono almonds actually are the shellless ones.
Right.
Those are fabulous. So in the afternoons, week 2, I was grabbing a handful of pistachio nuts or sunflower seeds, couple walnuts, so something like that. Almonds are hard for me to digest unless I really soak them, then they're fine. But if you want to do kitchery or something in the middle when you need more protein, just have less of the rice or the quinoa if you want, and add more of the mung beans. So the split mung beans.
Mhm.
So you would do those. I wasn't going to do any kitchery, and I woke up one morning with the craving to do it. So I soaked the beans, and then I made it later on, and I had it probably for 2 meals, but I made it much more mung beans, a ton of vegetables and greens, and a tiny bit of, I think I added in, yeah, rice and a little quinoa, tiny bit of each. So the protein, but then a couple of the whole grains, which are also the fiber. So I was really concentrating this week, which I think everyone will benefit from, adding more fiber. So I felt so full all week long because I had so much fiber in my diet, which is the bulk, and understanding as much as I do about the microbiome, the good I was doing. So I was being, some days you just want to do kind of like a mono, like just the same, let it, because then the body doesn't have to think about all the different ingredients and items it's eating. It is just, it can do other work. And then sometimes I wanted the diversity, and I added a whole bunch of vegetables and different things in, and a ton of fiber. So it's, see how you're feeling. But if you eat a considerable amount of fiber, you're going to feel full all the time. It's when we eat, protein is kind of heavy and dense in there, but when we're eating things that are not fiber related, and especially like packaged foods and different, or too much, you know, of liquids and things, you're going to be empty really fast. And then you're going to be hungry again and hungry again. So the more fiber, the better.
All right, I'm gonna really hit the fiber hard.
Yeah, I have a huge, pretty large list too of different things. So let's go in. Any more, anything else I can guide or help you with going?
No,
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to share the screen. I popped up before I share the screen. So let me try sharing the screen first. All right. And then Kay, tell me, can you see that?
Yes, I can.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go into the microbiome. And this is just one little sheet that I made up that I'm going to send so we can all see this. So the microbiome, basically what is the microbiome? A lot of people are very well versed in it, and some people don't understand or even kind of care what it is. But it is, so the microbiome is everything inside of us, especially for years, bacteria and viruses. Oh, it's so bad. And we were totally like sanitizing ourselves out of existence almost. But now science, this is like the hottest topic because it's not only curing people, keeping people alive, but it's bringing people back to health and balance, because now we understand so much of its importance and how it is needed to keep the body functioning the way we were supposed to, all the way back to the very first bacteria and viruses, the archaea, like the very first thing that was here on Earth. Not many of us still have it, but hunter-gatherers like the African tribes, a lot of people over in Europe that have a very diverse whole food diet, they still have a bit of that. And I'm sure we do as well a little bit, but not to the extent from the very beginning. But it was this very first little bacteria, fungus actually, that evolved and then just came through evolution and just kept coming. And so it's amazing that these microbes are in us. So we're almost the host for them to be here, to exist. And at the same time, they keep us healthy and they keep every one of our systems running. So we want good bacteria, good protozoa, good fungi, good viruses in our body. We don't want the bad. And as we have gone through our food industrialization and changing of real whole foods to super processed, ultra processed foods that are food like substances, like things that you open a package or a box and it's all those pre-made snacks and all like, it's basically fake food to mimic real foods. And the packaging is genius, the way it makes us believe you were eating organic real food and things, and it's all the little snacks that are made up for kids, and the marketing is so brilliant. It's really, really a detriment to us. So the microbiome is there was is part of this like homeostasis well-being within our bodies. So there's 200 times the number of genes in a person's microbiome than in our own human genome. So as we go through it, how does it impact our health? So we have prebiotics, probiotics first. We want to make sure the bugs are there. So that are the bugs, the fungus, those are all the probiotics. So when you typically people know probiotics as yogurt. So when you eat yogurt, you're looking on the package for those live cultures. So you want them in there because, oh, the doctor told me if I have antibiotic, I definitely need, because it will kill good bacteria in our body. And we need to replace that. That's one very good reason why. But it's for everything else. You have a microbiome on your skin, in your nose, in your mouth, in your like back in your sinus cavities, actually in your throat, which one it's not as developed in the throat. The largest one, like within your gut, women's female parts, another one. I mean, it's everywhere. So as you're like touching other people, touching dogs, touching animals, cats, doing things, you're all sharing your microbiome, which kept us back in the day so healthy because we were sharing and learning resistance and learning our microbiome was talking to each other's system of the neighboring. And then we have prebiotics. So if you have a probiotic, think of that as like seeds. You're going to put seeds down, and then these prebiotics is like the water that's feeding them. And then we have postbiotics, which are the results of what happens when you water a plant and the seed and it grows. So the postbiotics are the results being the energy they produce, the chemical messages in the body that they produce. So we'll have the prebiotic feeds the postbiotic. From there, it gets to do its work and it releases gases like butyric acid, which is chemical messages to the brain to turn systems on and off and keep things in balance. It's this amazing system within our body that keeps everything alive, which then goes into feeding the mitochondria, which are all the powerhouse, the energy in the cells. But that's all we were taught in biology earlier in our schooling, but we weren't really taught, how did they get it? How did they get these? It's all from the microbiome. It's all this symbiotic relationship. So people who don't have good balance, which is most of Americans, are really depleted and deficient in the diversity within the microbiome. And people who don't have very good balance within their body, it's called a dysbiosis. So there are more bad bugs. So from the foods we eat, the stress we're under, the lack of sleep we get, the majority though is from the food we eat, all these processed sugars, processed white flours, all the ultra processed foods with the hydrogenated oils and all. This is like totally depleting and destroying our microbiome. And when it gets year over year over year, and you're eating a real standard American diet, that's when that mucosal lining in our intestines and the colon breaks down, and the bad bugs keep this process of eating it away to where holes appear in the intestinal lining, and then you get a leaky gut. So many people have so many issues with leaky gut and they don't even know it. So dysbiosis is a really bad state to be in. That's where lots of real disease starts. So even cancers and different things all start mainly from a dysbiotic microbiome. So it's a really important subject to understand and to know, and how to feed it. How to feed it and maintain it and keep it going is so simple, but we've come so far away from it. Eating whole, real foods and certain foods in balance and more fiber and more, it can be that simple and that easy to maintain health, lose weight, clear brain fog, clear out the joints, like all the decay in your joints, because the body starts to work in rhythm how it's supposed to. It can be so simple, but we have come to a point where we are so diseased from being totally out of balance with nature and with our food. So Dr. Mark Hyman goes into so many different articles. If you even just Google Dr. Mark Hyman and microbiome, or Dr. Zach Bush microbiome, or Gundry, the information is like extensive. It's just endless. So in here, I've got links to understanding your gut, feed your gut. So this would be some of the, the healthy foods that you want to do, the Harvard study, best foods to heal. What are the best, foods? So we're going to get into that. What are the best probiotic, prebiotics, like people who have irritable bowel? How did that happen? So that's all here on the links. And I'm going to send this one to everyone so they can kind of get a little bit of their own information if you want to. It's probably the most important topic right now to take back your health and really like start to live better and longer. And it's crazy, but our microbiome right now, coming from the fourth generation, say 4 generations above us, probably had very robust microbiomes because they worked outside, they ate real foods, they interacted, they had family dinners. They weren't so sanitized with everything. They did get, of course, infections as soon as infections and infectious diseases really started to hit more regularly and stuff. That's when we came up with penicillins and things to, to sanitize and do, which saved people, but then also became so overused that we started killing our own microbiome. But 4 generations down, if you can still carry all that healthy microbiome within you because it is genetic DNA, and then the foods that you eat actually start to put more in. But if you look back 1 generation and say your parents weren't good eaters and they started with come home from the grocery store and everything was, canned and boxed and bagged and zipped. And remember when we were younger, we had those TV dinners and things and everybody ate them like crazy. So all those prepared foods are very void in microbiome replenishment and feeding. So as we get to the 4th generation, if you are not continuing to at least stay up on a minimum of feeding your microbiome or increasing, you literally can lose all of the genetic microbiome history within your family lineage that is crucial for your health to continue. So if your lineage is from Ireland or Italy or Spain, you also have a little bit more genetically, predisposed for particular microbiome. And you'll lose that after 4 generations of this food source now that we're eating as you keep passing it down. So mom, we got our microbiome from our mom, nothing from the dad, because we were born vaginally mostly. Hopefully you got to do that. And C-section still get a little bit. If you were breastfed, even better. And so, but it comes from mom. Dad's input is not at all, none from the sperm. There's nothing. So as we go through that process, now we have particular ones that we're carrying that we're going to give on. So it just keeps going, but we can completely destroy it in 4 generations. Void, nothing left, gone. The historical genome of microbiome from 4 generations can be lost. So if you look back at your parents and maybe they didn't eat too well, and then maybe you gave your kids a little bit of whatever. Now your children are starting to have grandchildren. That's the 3rd generation already. And if they continue on the same pattern of not eating for the microbiome and health, by their children, the genetic microbiome could be, and most likely will be, completely void, just gone. You can implement through crazy different things like fecal transplants. And now they have little pills for people that are sick. It's brilliant. It's healing people like you can. They call them crapsules. I don't have to go into any of that now, but the importance of your microbiome, I can't express how much more. But so our microbiome, getting the bugs in there, then we're going to have fiber and all of these prebiotic foods that are going to feed the garden. So consider the microbiome your garden, your internal garden. Now your microbiome says, I'm hungry, feed me. And if you're feeding it junk, it starves and it goes away. But if you were to have prebiotics, you are really, really fortunately feeding. So some fiber, which I really encourage you to add lots of fiber. Things are easy: peas, beans, chickpeas, chia seeds, raspberries, blueberries. They're more of a polyphenol, like blackberries and raspberries with all those seeds and things. That's very fibrous. Oats, almonds, pears, broccoli, quinoa. You could Google a list that goes on for, but things that actually are fiber, which usually are, it's a non-soluble fiber is what you want. You want that bulk to carry, and it carries toxins out of the body as well. It kind of scrapes its way through, and then the bulk of anything that the microbiome wants, it goes in there and it says, thank you, you're feeding me. I needed this today. I needed that today. So the fiber helps to get things through, but it's helping to feed the microbiome. And then we have our prebiotic, and some of the prebiotic foods that I love that I add in my diet quite often are artichokes, leek. And artichokes, you don't have to go through getting the whole big artichoke. I only get the hearts. And there's a whole different varieties, some from Trader Joe's that they're just marinated in a little bit of vinegar and lemon and I think a spice. But I just found a whole frozen bag in Whole Foods of their own brand. It was $2, I think, and 50 cents, a bag of frozen artichoke hearts. And it's just, I think it's just the ascorbic acid and the artichokes. That's it. Nothing else in there. And then leek, jicama, my new favorite. You can eat it raw. It's sweet. It's delicious. And you can saute it. You can put it in a smoothie. It's amazing. It's that big, like round bulb. I mean, that round ball. It's a root vegetable. Okra. Not many people like okra. Some people love it. Kiwi, flaxseed, grapefruit. Again, prebiotic if you want to Google it. I also have a link to it up here in the blue. You'll see prebiotic, probiotic. And but the list for prebiotic is quite long, and you want to incorporate prebiotics in your diet as much as you can, again, to feed the probiotic colony so that the colony can get stronger and do its job, so that you have more energy, so that your cells work better, your brain works better, and all the tissue in your body can be vibrant the way it was supposed to. It keeps every system in your body working. And then we have probiotic foods. I think I skipped over what they are. Yogurt. I like sheep, goat, and I didn't put on here, I'm going to add right now, sheep, goat, and coconut. Coconut yogurt is amazing if you get a really good brand, not the sugar brands. If you pick up one and you turn it around and it says like, oh, organic coconut yogurt, and it kind of sells you with the label, turn it around. If it has cane sugar and all of these different substances, don't even go there. Or the processed fruit in it, take that up. If you want to put some of your own fruit on top, or a little bit of drizzle of honey or maple syrup, delicious. And then the cow's milk yogurt, they're really offering now more A2 casing, the protein that our bodies can digest better. That's why the sheep and the goat are better, because it's more digestible, easily digested by the human body. We weren't really made to drink any cow processed products at all. It was really made just for cows. But we have this, huge industry of cheeses and everything else. So I even eat, if I'm going to eat a little bit of cheese, I have the goat and the sheep. It's A2 casing. It actually has a little bit of MCT in it. It's just a little bit healthier for you, unless now they're finding, and actually New Jersey has a huge ratio of A2 cows for that purpose. For actually, all other cows should just be used for the beef, but they started milking cows more and more and more for the product. And then the whole, campaigns of got milk and give kids your milk. But A2 cows are the right one. They actually have the digestible. So if people who have lactate issues, you won't get that with the A2 milk. All fermented foods. They're my favorite. I'm a fan of every sauerkraut, kimchi. I don't love a bunch of kombucha, only because it's fermented with sugar. And they use like white table or cane sugar, like it's So little sips, very good for your agni, very good for your digestion. But I know people that buy like the 8 ounce, and if you read it, it probably says like 8 servings and they just drink the whole thing. You're getting like more sugar than probably a Coca-Cola. So be careful with your kombucha. You can find someone who makes it locally and you know it's a good source, even better. But again, you just need sips of it, not the whole jar. And sourdough, fermented breads, very good. That yeast fermentation, very good for you in small amounts. So, and then postbiotics. What are postbiotics? So no one has probably ever heard of postbiotic. Probiotics have been around forever. Everybody kind of understands that. And, you know, for some reason, it's good for you. That's what we were told. Have some probiotics. And now we're learning prebiotics, essential for probiotics. But now what is the postbiotic? What is that? What is it? So a postbiotic is the product of watering the seeds and then they sprout, or they just picture what's going on. That energy that comes out, that's a postbiotic. It's a message, it's fuel, it's energy. So the whole idea of a probiotic, very healthy for you. We understand now that a prebiotic feeds it, and a postbiotic is the energy, the fuel, it's the product. So butyrate is one of the highest, one of the best byproducts. It's a short chain fatty acid, which is essential for life. It's essential for mechanisms and energy in the body, getting the mitochondria to work, all that. So postbiotics are now kind of becoming more a hot topic as well. Most people are like, I've never even heard of it, but your body does, and your body needs it, and every organism in your body needs it. So, and on this too, I will add a few more before I share it. I'll share this sheet later tomorrow, because some of these resources that I have listed on another sheet are really great reads, and they're kind of great information. So within this resource section, I'm going to add a few more that I just did not add yet. So Tim Ferriss, this one I started to put in here because he makes, in his 4-Hour Chef book, it has how to make sauerkraut, but I have a ton of other, I think there's one right here, fermented everything. This guy is really funny. So these links up here are great. And this one, how to make your own sauerkraut, super simple. You can make a gallon of sauerkraut in 10 days or so. And instead of, paying, $10 for a jar this big, which is what I do, because you don't want to buy the sauerkraut that's in the middle section of the grocery store, that's in with like all the dried foods and your ketchups and all. You want to get it in the chilled section, and it actually says like live food or something of that sort, raw live food, live. So because the live cultures, that's what you want in your body. You want those living organisms. So, and here to make how to make kombucha, and here, no, one more link up. So these, he's not helping me out here. I'll have to make that larger for you. The Amazon, you could get the mason jars and the lids where, I have my big mason jar. I put all my cabbage in, my water, my salt, I do my layering, and then I have gone outside. Now I still have the same rock for about 4 years, and I take the rock because you want to weight down the sauerkraut so that it keeps producing. And first you massage the cabbage. It's really a fun process, but I have a rock. I have a piece of peanut stone, and I put that on. But if you go to Amazon, you can get these great little lids, and you just press down the lever and it does it for you. So you can do totally free, or you can spend, $10 on Amazon and get really cute little lids. So it's it's actually really fun to start making all your own foods, or your, some sweets or some things, because your body's understanding real ingredients. You can even have a little bit of sugar in that, recipe or in that one, because the body knows what to do with real food. It understands perfectly. So I find this fascinating now that science is coming up with words and things that people in our time right now understand, and they get it. But going to Ayurveda school, they had the same exact premises and science. It's the oldest known medical science. They just had different words because they were Sanskrit or something. So they would tell us and write in diagrams and things. So like Chemical messages have to pass freely and hydrated through cell to cell through messages, but they have to be able to go freely. And as we have all, like, oxidative stress and the free radicals and everything gets in the way, and too much fat isn't only here or here, it's in every organ and in every cell, and it gets wrapped around the cells. And the cell's messages are supposed to go nice. It's like it's electric. Our bodies are electric. Electricity is supposed to flow freely and not interrupted. So as we've gone through and messed up all these patterns, the cells get confused. So real food is a real message, and that flows freely. As we put in all these chemical-based things that are food-like, year after year, day after day, the body keeps all of our cells get confused. And then the patterns that they're supposed to do get irregular. They get out of proportion. They get too much, too small. So we're confusing our own body's mechanisms and ability to course correct and stay healthy by eating non-foods. And it's not entirely our fault, because we can read packaging and we swear that this is really good for us. It's so good, I'm going to give my kids all this food. And it's not. The body says, I don't know what the heck that is, but I'm going to try to do something, or I'm going to store it somewhere. And when it stores it and stores it and stores it, we get really sick. And eating just taking real food and sauteing it or eating it fresh or doing whatever really doesn't take a lot of time. And your body says, oh, I know exactly what to do with that. And I know what cells to tell to process that or do that. So if I can encourage you to just try this week, adding, as most of the group is getting now into week 3, keep the process going of eating whole foods. So the rule of thumb should be eat whole foods, eat less of them, because we eat way too much in American diets, and primarily plants. Eat more plants, eat the majority of plants, because plants are everything. They're seeds, they're nuts, they're spices, they're vegetables, they're fruits. I mean, when you think about plants, it's the entire kingdom almost of food source. It's not just lettuce and broccoli and carrots. I mean, it takes in everything. Add in a couple extra nuts you've never tried, or seeds or spices. So teas add plant world to us. Try a different tea. Like things like that are real food, and the body knows what to do. So because this is such an important concept and topic for health in everything, and passing it on to our genes to the next generation, or what did you carry coming in? I'm going to do a 3-week short mini course, but we're going to get into, here's the outline. And we're getting into a lot of topics, what are polyphenols? What is nitric oxide? We're going to get into a lot of information in the 3 weeks, but in my opinion, it's information that is kind of crucial just to being healthy and understanding. You might look at food a little bit differently. And I'm not saying, 100% of the time, 70% of the time, like, have fun, do things in moderation, or you're on vacation, who cares if you're doing whatever. But if you were to stay more conscious during your normal routine of your days and your weeks, your body knows how to make it better again. It knows how. And I take this is me firsthand, because when I was really sick, Miranda's 28 years ago, within 31 years, I was very, very sick and out of balance. And I just knew internally, I have a really strong body intuition that something in me knew how to fix it, and then I could do it. So I just started changing things, and I researched how to do things myself. I really started I always ate good, but I ate stuff that was supposed to be okay for us. And I just started getting more into just real foods and doing things. And I course correct. My body knew exactly how to fix it when I gave it the tools. I learned how to meditate. I took up yoga more. I used to just be like a runner and like a strong athlete. And then I added in the strength and the stretching and the meditation. And I told you it was really hard. I learned how to sit. I learned how to just be. I learned how to smell things again, like take my time to get back into things the body just wants to do every single day robotically, but we've interrupted all the patterns. But I mean, and it did fix itself, and it's fixed itself beautifully, but I also run on high octane 90% of the time, but I can do that because I understand how to feed the body the right way. But I mean, I don't just sit around doing, yoga and eating smoothies or something. I mean, my schedule is really, really pretty busy, pretty active, pretty, packed, but my body hasn't really gotten out of rhythm. Like I understand, all right, doing too much, pull it in this way, or you're stressed out, pull it in that way. So having that knowledge, and now the unbelievable experience of understanding what the microbiome is and how it takes care of everything is something I think everybody should know, because it's that important. It actually sustains life. It is what life is about. That's what happens inside our body that we're not aware of. So anyone interested, we'll go into that. We'll have another call next week. But so I'm going to share this tomorrow. As I said, I'm going to add a couple more resources. All of these tabs have great information. And if I think of something else, I'll add it on here. But you could go down a rabbit hole of fun things, all microbiome. Some are too technical and scientific in biology into it. And then others are like, eat this, do that, take care of this, and the body's going to start responding. Like it can be that simple. So, and then there's everything in between. So I am I'm going to stop my sharing of my screen and go back. So we could have a ton of questions just from this. I'm going to send this recording out right away, or tonight or tomorrow. And hopefully everyone will get to watch it. Send me any questions, email, anything that interests you, or I'd love to hear what worked during week 2 for you, or what really bombed, or what you didn't, because it's all about both ends. Like what was horrible, or what you really liked or didn't like. So share everything. Give me feedback on what was going on. And then this week, if you have any issues, can I add too much of that? Can I add just kind of like let your body ease back into it? But what you really liked doing in week 2, carry that forward. Really start the small changes of the better habits. So the more, you don't have to think about it as what I'm depriving myself of. The more you add in good, you don't even think about the other stuff. Keep your mind in a more positive direction. Like I'm going to add more water in. I'm going to add a little bit more fruit or whatever. And as you, or your, fiber vegetables or prebiotics, when you add those things in and add them in first, the body's full and it doesn't want the junk food. So you don't even think of what you're not having. You're concentrating on adding some new things in. And at the same time, the bad or whatever you didn't want to carry forward, you just don't have time, or you can't fit it. So it's not, you don't think of what you're not having, think of what you're adding good into your system. So, all right. Okay. Thank you for joining and having some wonderful questions, and good luck. Reach out, ask any questions, and yeah, extend it. I'm going into, I think, another week as well.
Okay, thank you. And I'll send you any questions and my feedback, how it's working.
Wonderful. All right.
I just have one thing to say. I have the saying in my family, what's a little E. coli amongst family we need to share?
That's right. Absolutely. 100%.
You changing diapers, just get in there and change a diaper. A little bit's not going to hurt you.
No, that's what's keeping us alive, is sharing the bacteria and the my grandkids are so fun. They're so dirty. They're into everything. And I laugh and I just say, Katie, just let them keep doing it.
Yeah.
I take them to the farm and we're in the creek. Take your shoes off, pull your pants up, get your feet in the mud. Like that's how we grew up. That's how our parents and let them keep doing it. Get dirty, share.
Both of my parents grew up on dairy farm.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, they were.
Oh, wonderful. You probably have great stories.
I do. Well, thank you very much, Debbie.
You're
and
welcome.
I'll talk to you next week.
All right. Have a great night.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.